Now, hello guys. I want to speak to you today quickly. I've been playing this beta for countless hours. Honestly, countless hours. You're probably thinking, yeah, that's an exaggeration. Now, honestly, all of Saturday, I didn't record any footage, or if I did, it's only for highlights I'll put on my own private Facebook page. I never record anything for YouTube views on a Saturday or Friday evening. That's when I just stop recording, unless it's the odd funny moment where I did go on a good horse rampage, so there's that. Anyway, I didn't really record anything, but I just had, so that gave me a lot of time to just sort of sit down and focus on playing this beta, focus on playing Battlefield 1. Now, it's not fair to judge an entire game by the beta, but what a beta is supposed to do is supposed to give us a fairly decent idea of what the game's going to function like when it comes out, or at least, but what it does also allow us to do is, say like, for example here, Battlefield 1, it allows us to play Conquest and Rush on Sinai Desert. Battlefield 4, the beta only allowed us to play on Siege of Shanghai, if I remember. Conquest, I remember playing a lot of Conquest on Siege of Shanghai. I can't remember if there was any other game modes we could play on that. The Battlefield Hardline beta, that allowed us to play on like downtown, or a map called like that, and Battlefield 3 allowed players to play on Operation Metro Brain. Hardline allows us to play on Sinai Desert, but overall, there's some things I feel, personally from my own experience, that this game can improve upon, but it's still early days. But that's the whole point of a beta. They release the game as how they would release the full thing, but then they say, okay, community feedback, we want your feedback. What did we get right? What did we get wrong? How can we make this better for you when we get it out? Well, at least that's what good betas are supposed to do. Shit betas just put out the product and say, here, fuck you, give me money. Anyway, things I feel the Battlefield Hardline beta can improve upon. Primarily so far, I'm gonna have to say Rush. Rush, especially on Sinai Desert, really needs a massive overhaul. And I'm not just talking about Rush because of this map. I'm talking about Rush because I did watch, I think it was a Big Mooney video or someone like that. And they actually, yeah, it was like a Big Mooney video. He was doing like one of his live comms or something like that, or he was just talking about the game. So this isn't coming directly from me. This criticism isn't coming directly from me. So this isn't an original idea I've had. Although, having taken time for my own experience playing this game mode, and considering what whoever the commentator was who said this, given what they said, I side with their argument. So this isn't my own argument, I'm just going off of another person's argument, but I'm siding with it. So again, not my own argument, don't judge me. But they pointed out that, especially on this map, well, only on this map rather, that the attackers can get into one of those tanks that allows 7 players in it, and Rush is 12v12, so you can effectively put half the attacking team inside the tank and just charge it towards the defenders. Like, they don't, like, you don't have to worry that much. Like, yes, there's no engineers to repair tanks, or at least so far I've not discovered like a simple engineering class that could be used to help repair and maintain tanks. I think if you spawn as a pilot inside the plane, you can switch to another seat and do some minor repairs. I think that's the same if you immediately spawn in a tank, however I need to test that out. But Rush, you can effectively put half the team inside the tank and just charge them towards the objectives. Or you can use the massive tank as cover, leaving less of your teammates exposed, but at the same time it is a balancing act because you leave less of your teammates available to attack the objectives. But still, I've played eight rush matches, or 8 rounds of rush. I'd say 5 of them I was the defenders, 3 of them I was the attackers. This was one of them. And my Jesus. My Jesus, are the attackers overpowered? So if you play the British Empire attacking the Ottoman Empire in Russia, so basically United Kingdom versus Ottoman Empire, if you're actually on the side of the British in a rush round, so attackers on this map, you are going to walk it. From my personal experience, the attackers always just seem to walk it. I've only played one round as defenders and managed to hold off the attackers because the attackers simply didn't know what they were doing, or they could not capitalize on any of their chances. They were just being dicks. They were just mucking about. But that's the thing. And this isn't so much as a complaint I have specifically with Battlefield 1, but this is actually a complaint I've had with quite a lot of the Battlefield games. Rush seems to be broken in terms of momentum. If you are the attackers or the defenders, the first MCOM stations are always the hardest, or the first telegraph poles, or the first bomb sites, whatever you want to call it, the first two objectives you have to attack, they always seem to be the hardest. However, if you can take them, that's it. I've only played in 30 or 40 rush matches where we've taken the first set of MCOMs, or the first objectives, we've destroyed the first bomb sites, whatever you want to call them again, but then not gone on to win the match. That's 40 times I can count off the top of my head where this has happened. The rest of the times, we've gone on to win the match. It's stupid. There's probably more times. It's stupid. What DICE need to focus on is fixing the momentum, because let's honestly logically think about this. Rush requires one team to constantly attack enemy bases or enemy strongholds. You would think then, like realistically speaking, the enemies or the defenders, their strongest base would be the final base, because that's where their chain of command is coming from. And and I'm not trying to say, oh, you should make it that the first base is the easiest base to take, that you can just it's a walkover, you don't even need to put up that much of a fight, you know you're going to take those bases. Still make this game a fair and balanced challenge. That's a lot to ask, I know that is a lot to ask, but it's something to strive for. But I think we should make the final bases, or the developers DICE should make the final bases of Game of Rush the hardest, not the easiest. You shouldn't have to have all the challenge, or the majority of the challenge in the first set of the bases, and then being able to walk over it if your team is fairly competent. It should go the other way around for me personally. It just seems more logical that the final bases on the rush match are the more harder bases, but I don't know, that's just my personal opinion. Other things to improve, specifically with Battlefield Hardline, I'd say horse combat. As much as I love riding around on a horse, as much as I love riding around the map, slashing down enemies with my sword and running them over, there needs to be an improvement on horse combat. Specifically, the fact that you can only swing your sword on one side of the horse. Now, I get why, like I can understand the reason behind this. It's easier on the developers, so that to map the melee or the trigger button if you select the sword, so that it performs an animation where your character riding the horse only slashes to one side, to have him being able to slash on the right, slash on the left, and then slash on the right upon your command, depending on whether you point the camera in a certain way or whether you're at a certain angle. That must be extremely difficult to do. That must be extremely difficult and painstakingly effortsome to do. But it's still kind of annoying, like, you ride past a guy and you're thinking, if only my soldier could slash his sword down to the right, or down to the left rather, I would have killed him. Instead, no, I have to circle around and either run him over or slash him with my sword, depending on either what I'm feeling is the best chance, whether I'm just bored and curious and want to see what happens if I run him over with my horse, or whatever. And I'll talk about this more in another time, but particularly for Sinai Desert Conquest, the way the flags are structured on the map. Oh god, why did they put A, B, C, D, F and G quite tightly packed together, but then have E sitting all the way out in the middle of the desert? Oh, I mean, it allows for backcapping gameplay, which is a part of, it's a legitimate tactic in Battlefield, it's an annoying tactic, it's a legitimate though because I've used it countless times and it's worked for me. So don't get me wrong, it's annoying when it happens to you, it's cool and legitimate when you're the one doing it, but still it allows for more backcapping gameplay, so maybe that's what the developers are trying to go for. They actually wanted to push like a level of aggressiveness, like, okay, flank the enemy, come up from behind and just absolutely tear apart their lines while maintaining your own. I don't know. And finally for me, two more things. There's no inclusion of squad perks, which is a bit annoying, but I can live with that. I can live with no squad perks. That's fine by me. So, not being able to say, oh, I can carry more grenades, I can learn to live with the fact that I can only carry one grenade. It makes things more tactical, it makes things a bit more dicey because you've only got one grenade, so you've got to learn to use that grenade effectively. I'm not sure if you can resupply grenades, maybe they should add that in, but then again they need to be wary of grenade spam and all that. But the final thing for me is actually the destruction mechanics of this game. The destruction mechanics of this game are brilliant, except you can't level entire buildings. You can blow massive holes into buildings, you can effectively destroy buildings, but you can't bring it crumbling down like you could in Bad Company 2 or Battlefield 3. Like, and I've played both those games, Battlefield 3 more so, Bad Company 2, on and off, I've played quite a bit of it, I'm like level on it, but the pure, one of the pure core mechanics of those two games is that in Battlefield 3 and in Bad Company 2, you can destroy buildings. Granted, in Battlefield 3, it's fairly small buildings like garages and all that kind of stuff, but still, you can bring them down. It makes it so much more epic when you can just bring down a garage, like stick C4 around the kind of building, or fire a couple of rockets off that building, and then watch it just crumble down before your eyes. You're just like, yes! It's kind of annoying though that you can't really do that now. Like, I've seen buildings that have taken a minute or two of pure tank fire because there's like a squad with 2 snipers and a medic and a support guy all camped up inside a building, but yet that building has not come down no matter how much tank fire has gone into that building. I'm just sitting there thinking, how fucking strong are these buildings? What the fuck is going on? So destruction for me, the way the momentum works in Rush, and in particular Conquest on Sinai Desert, needs to be fixed. That, and I've been experiencing quite a few internet connection problems, and every now and again whenever I load up Battlefield 1, it will say I'm not connected to EA servers. I'm not sure if this is a personal thing for me, whether my internet is just horrible and I need to get a better I need to switch internet providers, but who knows. But anyway, those have been like a few things I feel that could be improved thanks to this beta, or things that I feel should be improved in the main game thanks to this beta, or hell, improved in the beta itself. But anyways, I'll see you guys later. I am out of here.